Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of A Blessing in Divorce. Today, I want to talk to you about the cost of a quiet life or the cost of peace. And it's a concept I recently came across and it really stopped me. I don't think it's new. I think we talk about, what we sacrifice or what we give up all the time, but not always in this way. And you know how when you hear the same thing over and over again and it doesn't really create a change or inspire, but then suddenly you hear it said differently and it's like a whole new idea. That's kind of what this did to me. And I really felt I needed to share this with you because where it ties in, my friend, is the fear of being alone. After separation and divorce, one of the most common fears I hear about is loneliness. Am I going to be alone for the rest of my life? Am I going to die alone? I'm so lonely on Saturday mornings. And that is where I want to go with this. So I'm hoping that when we talk about this in a different way, it'll resonate more with you just like it did with me. It's the idea that every way of living comes with a cost. An energy exchange, like singlehood, comes with a cost. Peace comes with a cost. Nothing is free. And I'm not talking about money here, I'm talking about energy exchange. Chaos has a cost, overgiving has a cost, people pleasing has a cost. Staying in something like a relationship or a marriage that doesn't feel right has a cost. Spending time around people that are not good for you or aligned with you has a cost. And we know this and we feel it in our bodies. We feel it in our exhaustion, in our anxiety, in our sleepless nights, in our overthinking. It's felt in that constant low level vibration that so many of us carry, and we don't really address why. But here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough, and that is that a quiet, peaceful life has a cost as well. And I think it's because we ignore the cost or we're uncomfortable with the cost of that. We don't do anything about it. We don't reach for that feeling of feeling good being on your own. I know that so many of you want to get there, and I'm hoping that today's episode will really be an important step in the right direction. So join me for this very important conversation. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of A Blessing in Divorce. I am so grateful to be allowed into your headset and day today. My name is Elizabeth, and I'm the host of this podcast and the owner and founder of The Separation Club, which is the club you never wanted to be part of, but the best club to be in if you're going through separation and divorce. Here we talk about how to heal, move forward, and find love if you're so inclined. Also, motherhood through divorce, finding yourself, and creating the life you deserve. Our tools are community, sisterhood, honesty, vulnerability, spirituality, and coaching. And that's when we aren't talking to our experts. I'm also a divorced mother of 4 adult sons, remarried, and a stepmom to 3. So we will be talking about everything that goes with all of that here. If you are recently separated, thinking of separating, divorcing, or even beyond your divorce, but still feeling it, then this is the podcast for you. Welcome back, my friend. So let's get into this. If you are going through a separation, for example, or divorce, or it's already behind you, but you're still not feeling settled and, happy, so to speak, or peaceful in your new life, or maybe you've left something else, maybe you've moved away unexpectedly, or maybe there's a new challenge in your life, or just something that is just not feeling settled and good. And this is often the part that can hit the hardest. It's not the decision of leaving, for example, or making the change. And it might not even be the heartbreak because we heal. We do get over that. But it's what comes after that. It's the quiet. It's the, being in a house by yourself or being the only adult in the house and managing everything on your own. And when the kids are not with you, if you have young kids, and they're with their other parent, it's the quiet that can feel really heavy. Because what you're left with essentially when someone is no longer part of your life is space. And that space can feel a lot like loneliness. And this is where your mind starts to play tricks on you. You might find yourself thinking things like, maybe it wasn't so bad. Did I overreact? Should I have stayed? And this is why a lot of women come back to me, even like 2, 3 years after their divorce, because they're feeling either stuck in some place, some healing place that hasn't developed or gotten any better, or they're just really feeling that loneliness and they are finding themselves thinking about their ex again or thinking about their marriage again and whatever. And it's not because you actually want the toxicity back or the chaos or the abusive behavior or even just the unhappiness that you experience, but it's because the quiet, the absence of whatever, it feels so heavy. And no one prepares you for this part. Everybody tells you it's going to be better, but the evenings feel longer and the weekends feel emptier. And the moments where you reach for your phone and realize that there's no one to send that quick message to, and there's no one that sent you a message this morning to say good morning or whatever, that's when it sinks in how quiet it is. And you're thinking, I'm all alone and I feel lonely. And that's why it's so easy to make this loneliness, this feeling you're having, mean something that it actually doesn't. You make you create this feeling in your body that says, I made a mistake and I'm all alone now. And this is my life, being alone. But this is where we need to gently shift something. Okay, we need to shift this into something that not only feels better, but actually is true as well. Let's shift our perspective. You know how much I like to do that around here. So what you are feeling is not that you made the wrong decision. You are feeling the cost of choosing peace, of choosing you, of choosing to not be in the situation you were in. Because when you remove chaos, you also remove the noise. And what is left is this space, this quiet space. When I work with my clients, whether it's one-on-one or inside the Rising Sisterhood membership, I talk about this in different ways quite often, and I'll be very curious to engage in this particular conversation with them, which I'll be doing very soon. And you can join us if you want to. But I often step into this concept of, as you eliminate something, whatever that is, a bad habit, a person who isn't right for your life anymore, or a marriage, for example, there is space that is created. And we have to fill that space with something. It's going to feel uncomfortable when we shift it away, whatever that is. And our inclination, if we don't fill it with something new or something better or something at all, we're going to want to fill it with what was there before. So I want you to focus on what that space means to you. And it will be different for all of you. And this is actually an opportunity to even grab your journal and start writing down a couple of things. But I'll give you some ideas of what those things might be. The space might feel uncomfortable, but if you remind yourself that you're no longer managing someone else's moods, you're no longer reacting to somebody else's whatever, you're no longer distracted by their ups and downs. And without that, you are left with yourself, and you're left with your own thoughts, and you might be left with time, like nothing to do, because you were always taking care of others. Like I said earlier, if your kids are maybe spending time with their other parent and you're sitting there alone one weekend, there might be no one to prepare meals for. There's no one creating chaos and noise in your house. And so without that, you are left with yourself and your own thoughts and feelings and space. Lots of inner and outer space. And that can feel like loneliness. I think the word loneliness gets attached because it's a negative word. It's one we're afraid of. And this feeling of space, this quiet that's suddenly within us, feels uncomfortable as well. So we tell ourselves, this is not good. I feel uncomfortable. I'm lonely. I don't like it. But it is not the same as being abandoned in life. It's not the same as being unloved. It is the nervous system adjusting to a life that is no longer chaotic. It's no longer you managing abusive behavior or negative words or managing someone lying to you or whatever was going on in your marriage. You are no longer dealing with someone else's chaos in your life, and they are no longer creating chaos within you. And so you need to settle down, or settle into, I should say, settle into this space that you've been given. It's a gift, really. And here is the honest truth. A lot of women go back to relationships, maybe not the marriage that didn't work, but they jump into something else to fill the gap, to create the noise again, to have that sort of constant busyness in their lives, and to not have this space because they don't feel good. It feels uncomfortable, mostly because we're not used to it. And because they don't want to pay this particular cost, which is the cost of the quiet. That's the cost you're paying. It's quiet. Because the cost of chaos is familiar. The cost of peace is unfamiliar. And I know I've said this to you before, but I'm going to say it again anyway. We would rather stick with something that we don't like and that doesn't feel good, but it's familiar. Our ego's much more comfortable in that place than jumping into something that is unfamiliar, unknown, and therefore feels uncomfortable. As soon as we tell ourselves, I don't like this feels uncomfortable, your mind is going to play so many games on you to pull you back to the place where you were, because there you felt comfortable, meaning not that you liked the abuse or liked the way you were being treated or enjoyed your bad marriage, but because you were used to it. It was comfortable because you knew how to do a bad marriage. That's the reality. Now, the bad marriage is gone. The snarky comments are gone. The chaos is gone. And the cost is the quiet that then arrives. That's the cost of letting go of all of that. The cost of chaos had become familiar, and the cost of peace is unfamiliar. So, my friend, instead of asking yourself, why do I feel so lonely? I'd like you to try asking, am I just feeling the cost of a quieter life? And maybe write that down, because I'd like you to ask yourself, when you're not listening to me talking, but when you're sitting by yourself, is this discomfort that I'm feeling the cost of a quieter life? Because when you see it that way, it kind of shifts everything. Loneliness stops meaning that you made the wrong choice, and instead, it becomes something you're moving through, because this discomfort that you're feeling is not there forever. It is just here right now because you're making an adjustment in your life. It's not something you're stuck in. And over time, something really beautiful happens. The quiet, this cost that once felt heavy, like maybe it does right now, it starts to feel like relief, like space to breathe, like a room to think clearly again. You start to build new relationships with yourself and with others. You start to enjoy your own company. You start to take on new things, hobbies, projects, maybe home improvement, maybe reading becomes a new passion. Maybe you join a book club, or maybe that's not your thing. But there's suddenly all this space to do all these new things, and they will come to mind. They might not come to mind today, but they'll start to come to mind if you shift this thinking. Because as the space remains, as you don't force feed yourself new chaos to fill the space and get rid of that discomfort of peace, ideas will come to you, and you will start to feel steady instead of feeling pulled in 100 emotional directions just to create chaos again. And eventually, I promise you, the quiet doesn't feel like loneliness anymore. It feels like peace. And I know you want that because you tell me that. When I talk to women, whether it's a discovery call or a coaching call or on my membership calls, and I ask women, what is your intention? What do you want out of your life? I just want peace. I want some peace and quiet. Well, be careful what you wish for, right? You're getting it. And it doesn't feel great. It feels uncomfortable. You just have to be willing to stick it out through this in-between part. Kind of like when you cut your hair and it's cut a little bit too short and you got to let it grow longer again to start liking it again. You just have to get comfortable with the part that still feels a little empty, a little bit unfamiliar, and a little bit uncomfortable, because that's the transition phase. That's where we recalibrate our lives and start to learn about how to live without chaos as your baseline, because you don't want that. That's why you're here. And even if you didn't want a divorce, and you might be kind of lying to yourself a little bit and saying, I was fine though. I was totally happy and peaceful in my marriage. Let's be honest. We are friends here and we say it how it is, okay? We don't mess around. We don't make stuff up. The truth is, things were not great and things hadn't been great for a long time. Maybe you didn't want a divorce, and that's fair. This wasn't your ask. This wasn't your journey as you had seen it. But here you are. Getting stuck in that I didn't want this does not change the reality that whatever was wrong, whatever was not good in that marriage, it's gone now. And that's actually a good thing. And the things that you miss are things that you miss. And that has left a space. There is space. I have said it many times now. It's what you do with it. And I think that shifting your perspective and saying to yourself that what I'm feeling right now, this discomfort that I'm feeling right now, it is the cost of living a peaceful life. It is maybe the cost of focusing on self-love, of focusing on me, on growth, on healing. You have been given the space to do that work. I remember having that space. I remember sitting with myself for hours on end, alone in the quiet. I didn't feel lonely actually, because I enjoyed the space. I really very quickly embraced the space, the space that I've been given, the absence of, his toxic behavior, his mood swings, walking on eggshells. Like I really very quickly became appreciative and grateful for that space. And I used it to get to know myself again, to just sit and let thoughts come to me, to reflect, to meditate, to journal. I journaled a lot. And little by little, I rebuilt my life and I filled that space with beautiful experiences, new friends, new hobbies, and eventually a new relationship. But I didn't invite in that relationship to fill the chaos, the old chaos with new chaos. That relationship came in as part of my peace. And I was able to go into that relationship very confident, like in myself and strong and not needy, to get what I needed from it. And in the beginning, honestly, being quite selfish about it. Not that I wasn't treating him well or anything like that. We were very good to each other from the very beginning. But it allowed myself to just so easily set boundaries, and just honor who I was and the work that I had done and the healing that I'd done. I wasn't going to throw all that away just to invite in some other form of chaos, whether that was happy and love chaos or whatever. Because no matter what, no matter how much you might fall in love again, there's always some chaos that comes with it. And you better be ready for that, my friend. So this is the time where you get to do all of that work and get comfortable with yourself and the space that exists in this life for you. This is the transition. So if you have been feeling lonely and the quiet feels so much louder than you had expected, I want you to know this. You're not doing anything wrong. You didn't make a mistake making the decision or even accepting someone else's decision. You have not done anything wrong. Going back is not the answer. You are just paying a different kind of cost through this transition. And this particular cost, it leads somewhere very different, somewhere better and more energetically aligned with you. And it is such an opportunity. I've always thought of my divorce as a launch pad to the life that I'm leading now. I'm an entirely different person today, and I live a life that I could not even have imagined living if I was still with him. I don't know that I know I wouldn't be where I am right now. obviously. I am so grateful for this life, for these opportunities, for the work that I now do, for being able to sit and talk to you. I would not be doing that. And that has all come out of the space, the uncomfortable space, the lonely, what I thought of as loneliness as well, the cost of not having him in my life anymore. So, what do you think? Does it feel a little easier when you do it this way? I would love to hear from you. When we look at things differently, then things are different. And that's really what I'm trying to do here today, is to invite you to look at this in a different way, as an opportunity to learn that as we embrace new things feel uncomfortable, and that uncomfortableness, that's the cost. But where is it taking you? Where do you want to go? What doors do you want to open? What kind of people do you want to meet? What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do on any given Saturday? Start writing that down. How do you want to fill this space? And try not to make it about someone else having to fill it. Okay? I know you can do this work. I'd like to do it with you. Maybe you'd like to be on that call that we're going to have in the Rising Sisterhood. It's probably going to happen end of April. So join the membership now. Start building up, into this space with us. That's what we do every single week when we meet. We would so love for you to join us. Anyway, all the information is below, of course. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for allowing me into your headset and this time together. I am so grateful. And I wish you the most beautiful day.